Hey everybody, Tim Van Orden here with another Getting Started video. Right now I'm stopped, but I'm not going to stay that way for long because I'm about to set the wheels in motion to get started. And I'm going to talk about what that looks like right now because the sheep has hit the fan and I'm totally out of paper towels and Lysol and it is just nasty over here. But I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to break down. I'm not going to cry like a little baby. I'm going to do what I always do to get out of situations like this. I'm going to look down, see the ground that I'm standing on, acknowledge where I am and what I've got to work with. And then I'm going to take the smallest, tiniest freaking steps possible using what I've got to work with to get out of the situation and to move away from the ground that I'm currently standing on. And I'm going to show you a new way to look at these tiny steps today because I've been having conversations with people and they get stuck in the decision-making process about which steps to take, what's the right step, where do I step, how far do I step, what kind of shoes do I wear when I step. Know what I'm talking about? The paralysis of analysis. I'm going to shine some light on that right now. Okay, here we go. Whenever we get into a stressful situation, whether it be a cheetah chasing you, a car accident, a loss of a job, fight with a spouse, or in my case, my computer dying so I can't make videos anymore, or at least not easily, our brains are wired to do one of two things: fight or flight. We have this primitive response mechanism in the brain. It's there, it's hardwired, you can't get rid of it. And it's going to be your first line of defense to either help you fight through the situation or to help you escape from the situation. Now, we live in a modern world and this mechanism isn't really all that useful to us anymore. Yes, there are situations where you do need to fight or you do need to run, but they're pretty rare. But this wiring is still there and it's going to be the first thing that happens to you. You go into this, you freak out, you go into a panic because you've got cortisol and adrenaline and all these other hormones and neurotransmitters coursing through you and your brain is being hijacked by you. You're hijacking your own brain to try to save your life. And this stress-based primitive reaction brings with it impatience, immediacy, fix it now, deal with it now. Because back in the day when fight or flight was really happening, you probably had a minute to either win the fight or get away, and then you were simply dead. So this mechanism that takes over is really designed to get you through a ridiculously stressful, dangerous minute. That's it. If you don't make it, you're dead. So let's give you all the resources necessary, mentally and physically, to get you fully engaged in getting out of the situation now. There's no time to wait, there's no time to dilly-dally, there is no time to think critically, there is no time to assess things, there's no time to take tiny baby steps. We've got to take huge steps because we got to get the heck out of Dodge or we got to knock this mother out. If there's a grizzly bear chasing you, yes, go for it. But if there is a broken computer on your desk, not gonna help much, is it? Definitely not helping me today. I spent the first 2 hours of the day in a total panic, but now I'm calming, I'm clearing, and I'm like, all right, how do we move forward inside of this situation? The situation's not going to go away. How do we move forward inside of it? And dealing with this impatience is the first step. Many people never get over the impatience. They're stuck in it. They're like, I can't take baby steps. They're too small. They don't work. The changes aren't big enough. I can't see improvement. I'm not losing enough weight. I'm not getting far enough away from the situation. My skin isn't healing. My disease isn't healing. I'm not making enough money. My house isn't big enough yet. I need big, visible changes. I can't take these tiny little steps. They're insignificant. They're beneath me. You know what? You're absolutely right. They are beneath you. Tiny baby steps are beneath you. And that's why they work. Because you're taking steps on the ground that you're actually standing on. You're in this moment. You're looking down. You've got your head down. You've got your gaze down to where you are in the world. You're acknowledging what is. You're acknowledging the truth of that moment. The truth is, this bad thing happened, or that bad thing happened, or this thing happened, and it appears bad. From this perspective, it looks bad. Well, let's take a look. Let's look down at the ground beneath our feet where we're standing, and let's assess the situation. Let's get real. Because you can only walk on the ground that you're standing on. This is what I've talked about in previous Getting Started videos. People want to be at the finish line. They don't want to be at the start line, or they don't want to be on their way to the start line. They want to be finished. So they're looking way off over there, saying, that's the ground I'm standing on. I'm rich. I'm famous. They do affirmations again, which I'm not a fan of. I'm a fan of confirmations, confirming where you are and confirming the actions that you just took in the past, a moment ago. Rather than looking at the finish line and saying, I'm at the finish line, I'm wealthy, I attract wealth into my life, I attract beautiful loving mates into my life, I do all these things, I'm at the finish line, I'm standing on that ground way over there. No, you're not. Your gaze is up and out and away from the moment, away from your truth, away from the reality of the situation. You're in a delusion. But baby steps are beneath you, and that's why they work. They're right there under your feet. Doesn't matter if you're at the start or the finish or 20 miles away from the start trying to get there in bad traffic. As long as you're looking down and you're using that ground that you're standing on to make your steps with, to make your assessments with, you'll get there someday. Don't know when, but you'll get there. Another great thing about these tiny little baby steps is that you're minimizing risk. First of all, you're acknowledging where you're standing and what the terrain looks like, so you're much more aware of where you're going to be stepping, rather than looking off at the finish line and trying to take a step and falling because you didn't see the obstacle under your feet, because you weren't looking down because those steps are beneath me. So are the obstacles. They're beneath you. All right? Look down. Check them out. Learn how to work with them. Learn how to move around them. Learn how to learn from them. So you're minimizing the risk because it's a small step, so if you do stumble, you're not going to fall far. You're not going to fall hard. But when you're looking way off and not paying attention, you're taking some big risks, especially if you think you need to be taking huge steps. There are huge risks involved in huge steps. And if you're already hurting, you can quickly spiral out of control into a much, much worse situation if you're taking these big risks. This brings me to perfectionism, which is where people are looking at the risks and saying, oh, no, I can't do that, and I can't do this, I can't do it if it's going to be right, I might fall here, I might fall there, somebody may laugh at me, it's not going to be perfect, so therefore I'm going to wait until I find the perfect step, and then I'm going to take that one. Because they're looking at the big steps, they're looking at the finish line, they're looking way over there, and they're saying, wow, that's a really risky step to take. So I better figure out how to do it perfectly first. Rather than looking down and saying, well, the step doesn't need to be perfect because it's really small, and if I take it, I'm not going to get hurt that bad. Nobody's really going to laugh. Maybe there'll be a little, so what? I'm over it. Didn't hurt. And I'm going to learn as I move around these obstacles. As I go out of balance, I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to find a better balance. So perfectionism is about looking way off to the finish and seeing how far away it is and seeing the risk. That's too risky. I can't jump that canyon on my little moped. I need an Evel Knievel jet rocket powered superbike. Perfectionists are not perfectionists. They're something totally different. It's a misnomer. If you look up the word perfect or perfection, it comes from the Latin root facere, which means to perform or make do with. So the idea of perfecting something or being perfect is about performing to completion, finishing, being ready or making ready. That's what perfect is. It's ready, it's finished, it's complete. But these people are saying, I can't do it until I'm ready. I can't do it until I'm complete. I can't do it until I'm finished. I can't get to the finish line until I'm finished. Well, how do you get finished if you can't get to the finish line? It doesn't make sense. It's a catch-22. which is why it's not perfectionism. These people are actually defectionists. It's defectionism, because if you look at the word defect, it means to move away from completion, to move away from performing, to move away from finishing. People that call themselves perfectionists are actually defectionists because they're not performing at all. I'm a confectionist, not a perfectionist or a defectionist, but a confectionist. The word confection means to perform with, or to make do with what you have, the ingredients that you have here, which is why the term confectionery or confection is often used with baked goods and cooking and whatnot. It's about using the ingredients that you have to create something, to perform an action with. And when you're looking down beneath you, at the ground at your feet, at the ingredients that you currently have in your real-time space, you work with them. You make do with those ingredients. You create a confection. You're a confectionist. You take tiny little steps, and every little step is adding to that confection, adding to that layer cake called life. So the next time somebody says that those tiny little steps are beneath them, smile and say, you're right, they are. And that's why you should take them. Be a confectionist. So I hope that was of some value to you. It definitely helped me to think about it from that perspective. And now I've got to look down at my ingredients, and I've got to work with them, and I've got to create my confection. And if I can do that, maybe then I'll give myself some affection. All right? See ya.